All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? The Angeles Rams are looking to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who did it last year, in regards to winning the Super Bowl on their own home turf. This is not the first time that the Rams are going to be playing the Super Bowl in their own backyard. As you go back to Super Bowl number 14, which was played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, and that's only a hop, skip, and a jump from where the Rams played their home games at the time at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Now, the Rams are at home technically, but I'm sure that there's going to be a very strong contingent from Southern Ohio as well as the great state of Kentucky that are heading west to cheer on the Cincinnati Bengals. It's been 33 years since the Bengals last appeared in a big game, and their fan base is hungry to see this franchise potentially win their first Lombardi trophy. Now, quarterback Joe Burrow has made the people of Cincinnati believers, but will he and the Bengals be able to pull off the upset? A lot of questions for both teams coming into this game. One big question: the Bengals' offensive line going up against this Rams front seven. Joe Burrow has been sacked 12 times during the postseason so far in 3 games. Of course, 9 of those came versus the Tennessee Titans and that relentless pass rush. But to his credit, he didn't get flustered, he didn't waver, didn't point fingers, didn't yell at his O line. He just kept getting back up and going for it. And that, gets you a lot of respect from your teammates. You look at it, the way to neutralize the Rams pass rush, you look at the running backs that the Bengals have. And Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine, both good coming out of the backfield as receivers. So that's going to help to neutralize those linebackers, and they just can't commit to rushing the passer. That's going to open things up a little bit more for the Bengals. And one thing that we know, you can run the football on the Rams. The Bucks did it. The 49ers did it. And I think the Bengals are definitely going to try to do it because you have to keep balance in this offense. Another matchup that people are going to be looking at: Jalen Ramsey, the all pro corner from the Rams, going up against wide receiver Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has quickly ascended to being one of the top wide receivers in the NFL. And no disrespect to Jalen Ramsey, but throughout his career, you can look at it. When he faces the top tier receivers in the NFL, they get theirs on him. And we've seen it this year. So it's one of those where obviously Ramsey and Chase are going to be going at it. But on the flip side, the rest of this Rams secondary going up against Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, you can't sleep on those two guys. And then tight end CJ Ozoma, who was injured during the AFC Championship game win over the Chiefs and looked very bleak. He's optimistic that he's playing on Sunday. And even if he's out there as a decoy, it's something where it's definitely going to help this Bengals offense and not allowing this Rams defense to just key on one guy because you have to be focused on so many guys. You look at it with Joe Burrow, there's just something special about this kid. We saw him at LSU. We're seeing it again this year for the Bengals, and especially in this playoff run. This guy is just a winner. He has that moxie. And like I've said before on previous podcasts, Joe Burrow simply has ice water in his veins, and that is important for a championship team. You look at it on the flip side for the Rams, and Matt Stafford, he's living the dream. After so many bad and beleaguered years with the Detroit Lions, he did help the Lions make the playoffs a couple of times, but he was unable to make a run with them in the postseason. And of course, the Lions, unfortunately, are just a bad franchise. Matt Stafford has a change of address this season, and of course, the results are definitely there as he is 60 football minutes away from being a champion. Now, on the flip side for the Rams, you look at their offensive line going up against this Bengals pass rush. And say what you want about Cincinnati's D, one thing that they can do, they can rush the passer. And that's important because obviously, when you're able to rush the passer, it helps everything for what your back seven is going to try to accomplish. And that's going to be important because you look at this Bengals secondary going up against Cooper Cup and Odell Beckham Jr. And these guys are going to get their catches, but it's the yards after the catch and it's also the big plays. That is what the Bengals are going to have to avoid defensively because once you allow Cooper Cup and Odell Beckham to get the chunks on you, and I'm talking about 25 yards plus, it changes things. So that's why it's really going to be important for that pass rush of the Cincinnati Bengals to try to wreak havoc on Matthew Stafford and not allow him to get into a rhythm. Tyler Higbee, the Rams tight end, he was injured in the NFC Championship game versus the 49ers with a knee injury. Will he be available? We'll have to wait and see, as his status right now is day to day. Now, for the Rams, they also, when they have the ball, they need to stay out of second and third and long situations because that is going to allow the Bengals pass rush to really tee off a little bit more. So it's going to be important for Cam Akers and Sony Michelle to try to establish things early on in that run game. Like I said with the Bengals, to also give the Rams that balance when they possess the ball. Zach Taylor, the Bengals head coach, going up against Sean McVay. Of course, at once upon a time, Zach Taylor was on McVay's staff. So, let's see what these two young studs at head coach, both under 40, let's see what they're going to be able to get done come Sunday evening. For McVay, this is his second time around in the Super Bowl. Of course, previously he lost to the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. So it was a lesson for him, and let's see if he learned from that and he's going to try to build off of that for this contest. Raheem Morris, the Rams defensive coordinator, going up against Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. And I'll say this, Raheem Morris has definitely done a very good job with this defense. And I know that it's star-studded, but nonetheless, he has gotten everybody to buy in. But on the flip side for Brian Callahan, he has done a good job, especially in this postseason, with making adjustments. He did it against the Raiders, he did it against the Titans, and then he did it last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's a big reason why the Bengals are playing in this contest. Kevin O'Connell, the Rams offensive coordinator, soon to be head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, going up against Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. Another matchup within the matchups, if you want to talk about it. It's going to be about the adjustments, and let's see who is going to make who blink first. Evan McPherson, the rookie kicker out of Florida for Cincinnati, or should they say Evan Money McPherson, he has been money throughout this postseason run for the Cincinnati Bengals, and even during the regular season, going back to week number one, where the Bengals pulled out the overtime win at home over the Minnesota Vikings, and that's important. I mean, now he's going to be kicking indoors. This kid, he's fearless. It's a situation where anything inside of 60 yards, he's in range. And of course, the Super Bowl is going to be played indoors come Sunday evening. So that's a special team advantage leaning in the direction of Cincinnati. The Bengals, I mean, pardon me, the Rams are home, but they're not home because what we've seen so far, whether it was at the Coliseum or especially now at SoFi Stadium, the Rams really have not had a typical home field advantage. I know that the Rams had a long and storied history in the city of Los Angeles before they moved to St. Louis, but they are still trying to reestablish themselves in Southern California. And with that said, Southern California fans in the LA area, they're really laid back. And we've seen opposing fan bases, take over SoFi Stadium. We saw it a couple of times this year with the San Francisco 49ers. And I can't harp on it enough. These Bengal fans, they're going to be out there and they're going to be charged and they're going to be ready for this one because again, it's been more than 3 decades since they've seen their team win, and of course, it's a great story for Cincinnati from worst to first. They sat back and saw all the other three participants in the AFC North make the postseason last year, and of course, Cincinnati is having their moment this time around. The people. There are some people, and a majority of people, or not, maybe not a majority, but there are some people that are expecting the Rams to dominate this game based on who they have on their team, with the likes of Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, and Leonard Floyd on defense. Of course, Matt Stafford, OBJ, and Cooper Cup on offense, just to name a few. But my thing is this: for the Rams to go out there and beat the Bengals, they're definitely going to have to go out there and pack a lunch. I said it earlier in the playoffs that the Bengals are playing with house money, and the thing is this team, they don't get down on themselves. And we saw that in the AFC Championship game, down 21-3 at Arrowhead versus the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that was looking to make the Super Bowl for a fourth consecutive year. And this Cincinnati Bengals team never got flustered. They stuck to their guns. They came back, won that game, and limited the Kansas City Chiefs to just 3 points for the entire second half. That's all about heart. That's all about coaching. That's all about dedication. So when you see things like that, you don't write a team like the Bengals off. When you see a quarterback like pardon me, like Joe Burrow, to stand in there and face a pass rush like he did against the Tennessee Titans, you don't write that off as well. But on the flip side for the Rams, this team has exercised some demons as well. For Matt Stafford, getting that first playoff win against the Arizona Cardinals. For the Rams, ending Tom Brady's career in the divisional round. Finally getting over the hump against the San Francisco 49ers, a team who they had lost six straight to before they got the best of them in the NFC Championship game. So I think both of these teams are battle tested. It's going to come down to the turnover battle, and not just the turnover battle. Who is able to minimize the mistakes off of those turnovers? I mean, both teams are going to look to protect their respective quarterbacks, but if one throws an interception, will his defense step up to limit the mistake that was made? And then on top of that, with these pass rushes, because they know how to get after you, both teams. With that said, both quarterbacks, the pocket clock has to be there, because again, the Bengals, they can get after you, and so can the Rams. And Raheem Morris has done a good job, especially now since the Rams have Von Miller on this team, of mixing and matching Aaron Donald in different spots in order to allow him to get to the quarterback. We saw him play uh, defensive end versus the Bucks in the divisional round in order to ramp up the speed on Tom Brady. And I think Raheem Morris is going to try to give Joe Burrow and his Bengals offensive line some different looks as well. I think this is going to be a great game. The Rams are a 4-point favorite. I think it's going to be a back and forth affair. And just like it has been throughout this postseason, I think the team who has the football last wins this game. The pressure is on the Rams in this one. And, the Bengals, they've been loose. And at the same time, like I said, I do believe that the crowd is going to be in the favor of Cincinnati in this game, in spite of the fact that the Rams are technically the home team. But with that said, I'm going to take the Bengals to win Super Bowl number 56 by the score of 34-31. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care, have a wonderful day, and enjoy Super Bowl number 56 on Sunday. Be well, everybody.